In this video I'm just going to be looking at some old junk I found under the bench which I need to get rid of and see what some of this stuff is. I think this is like some bit of old university equipment or something, some sort of power supply, and really it's just stuff you buy for getting a few parts out of. What have we got here? Farnell components. Looks like we've still got the price, or at least maybe not the price, but the box or something, die cast, line 2, location number or something. This would have been expensive enough in its day, but getting it from Farnell components would have made it even more expensive. But they did have a good range of parts. We can probably chop some of this up and get rid of it. What on earth's in there, I wonder? Is that batteries or something? No, capacitors by the look of it. Got a transformer. I did see something about warning, oh yeah, caution 150 volt DC on transistor cases. So that seems rather high. We've got some MJ15022 made in Mexico. I think they were a pretty good high power transistor. Looks like they originally had a cover stuck to them, but that's gone. We've got some sort of glue on top of them. Normally you put those insulating covers on them. Nice heatsink on it. That's worth keeping. Oh, I've actually got a surface mount chip's been used to replace one, although that socket's broken now. TI031 or something. And I can't even read the other one. So I see, what have we got here? Little ceramic standoffs on a little bracket, just so you can wire your components up. Kind of like a tag strip, but a bit fancier by the look of it. Yeah, they're quite good. Little 4-way ones. Can't say I've ever really seen those before that I've noticed. Probably in some old school equipment they've had something like that, but they look a bit different. So it might be worth chopping off this top part and hanging on. Got a nice toroidal transformer. Another Farnell order code. So 210 volt must be the input. And it looks like 260, is it 50 or 60? Sometimes hard to tell what they've actually printed, but it's either 50 or 60. So is that 5 amp, 2.5 amp, that would most likely be, so that's a 5 I think, maybe it's 50 volts. So around 100 volts. On the output, we've got a bit of rectifier, a whole bunch of these old orange, what are they, ROE capacitors. I seem to remember the first electronics magazine I saw had some of them on the front cover. Look kind of cool in orange. And they look like 10-turn pots. Yeah, they're the ones. So they're like a precision potentiometer, kind of geared, I guess, inside. I don't know what's actually inside on. I don't think I've ever pulled one apart, but so instead of just, if you got 0 to 10k or whatever, but it takes 10 turns to get there, so it's obviously gives you much finer control. Tube heater and bottom heater. Someone's nicked whatever connectors they had. Heater voltage test. So no idea what that ran, but I think we'll get rid of this thing. So I undo those pots, and I think there's only 1 or 2 red wires, and we should be able to remove the whole heatsink assembly. But I think it's time these things are dismantled and the parts put where I can actually find them, and might be useful, and the rest can go in the scrap metal, I think. I've got a nice filtered IEC socket on the input. They used to be dime a dozen, those filters. Every computer terminal and other bit of junk in the day had those in them. I used to save a few of them and never used one, I don't think, in my life. And well, I've got a couple of big resistors. Quite a nice power switch on there, I guess. Old school fuse holder. I think they have possibly banned some of these for high voltage now. Where'd that nut come from? It came, did someone put that in there to press on the fuse or something? It was sticking out a bit more than it should have. That's an interesting dodgy job if that's what that was. And where does this transformer, oh, it looks like it's got the standard colours for the mains input. What are they done here? Doing the 2 windings together, I guess, the output. Oh, it'll be interesting to see what those caps are, if that's putting out 150 odd volts. Let's snip that off. So I can actually move this thing. Oh, it goes into the bridge rectifier, I guess. What's that flat blade? Don't know if it's really worth keeping. That's a bit too big, I think. Oh, it will work. Let's just press on that nut with something. Nice old brass screws, that sort of thing. Don't know when this would have been made, probably the 80s or something by the look of it. Used to be really handy, this sort of stuff for parts for building your own stuff out of. Not so much for repair work or anything, but great if you want to build something, because this stuff would have cost, I'd hate to think what they actually spent on this if it's all Farnell stuff and that. Yeah, it'd be $200 or $300 worth of stuff here probably. Is what it used to cost. It was super expensive to buy parts. And I mean, proper copper transformers are still expensive, so that's one thing that hasn't changed, I guess. So what have we got here? Some dodgy taped up mess. Doesn't look very professional, I must say. And not the best quality. It wasn't Nitto tape by the look of it, because it's gone all horrible like it does. Still coming off though, at least. So it can't be too bad a quality. So is that I think it's a piece of heat shrink tubing. I don't need to worry about discharging it because it hasn't been plugged in for a long time. Let's get around, it's just a loose wire now. So that must be one pair of windings on the secondary maybe. What have we got? The other two go to the bridge probably. The bridge then comes out. I think we'll just chop all that up. What sort of bridge we got? PW04. That sounds like the sort of one you'd buy aftermarket. Probably plenty of specifications for that online. Disconnect that from the fuse and stuff. So we've got a nice transformer. That could be good for an amplifier or something. Doesn't have the mounting brackets, unfortunately. Someone's pinched them by the look of it. Another thing they've nicked out of here. So a few parts been taken, I think. Don't know why I'm even saving these caps. The whole thing should probably go in the irony aluminium. But yeah, a box like this, I'd hate to think it's probably $100 just for the box, to be honest. Used to be super expensive, these die-cast boxes. Nice to have and good for shielding and stuff, but yeah, certainly a luxury for most people. I've got maybe some 100k discharge resistors across them, which is a good idea, especially if you've got higher voltages. And yeah, connections on the outside for people to get to. What have they done? They've glued them together with something. I was going to say there's something horrible on these. That's got some actual tag strips on it. Yeah, West Germany. DIN, so they're probably to a certain size, but yeah, like I said, I'll have to see if I can find the cover. I think it was about a 1983 Elector, some computer power supply or something. I think it was about the only, well, one of the only Elector magazines I ever bought, but still I think it was probably the first electronics magazine I ever bought. I saw it at Dick Smith in Hobart and thought, that looks nice, I'll have that. Don't think the tag strips and pretty old school resistors. What have they got on them? Oh, the little ohm symbol, was that I think is it IRC or something, resistors? Oh, it's got a W in an ohm symbol, I think, Amiga. Don't think we'll worry about that. Can we open this thing up, get these caps out? At least see what they are, probably only rubbish, but kind of interested in what brand they are now. Old dream coloured ones. Yeah, certainly reminds me of my childhood, this sort of stuff, these old Axial Electros and stuff. Some of these old oddball brands you used to get from Dick Smith and the like. A brand, so that doesn't tell you much. Someone's put some more resistors across. What are they? 2200 50 volt. Would have been handy once upon a time. Get rid of some of this wire out of the way. And yeah, a couple more tag strips. Oh, I want to nick that switch, don't I? They should pull off, I think. Should be spade terminals. Press the little bits in. And hope, yeah, the other side often doesn't want to come is the problem. You've got to get underneath and press them, which is not so easy. There you go. Not too bad. Someone's put heat shrink on the fuse holder. Oh no, it's coming off. Might steal the fuse holder. They're always something I used to like to keep. I don't have many of them left now, but I used to have tons of them. Because it was most electronic kits we used to build that were 240 volt. Always put a fuse in it, just in case something went wrong one day. So I used to use a few of them. Here, got some banana sockets which aren't really worth the bother. But that's your little filtered 2 caps, or it's a pie filter or something. 2 caps on that side, 1 on that side, and a couple of inductors, mainly to stop noise getting back out. So if maybe this thing was hooked up to something digital, mainly used in digital equipment, made in Taiwan, so fairly old. And this bit, well, probably need to remove a few more wires to get them out of the way. Well, those 2 10-turn pots, they used to cost a fortune. Those things, are they proper Burns? Oh, it's a Burns. Made in Mexico. 10k plus or minus 5%. A linear pot. That's a Burns. It's actually moulded in this one, so they probably added different batches or bought at different times. 10k, so they're both the same value. So I wonder if they ordered them at the same time and got 2 slightly different batches. It's possible. Maybe they changed the style at the time, or maybe they added one later. It looks like this thing was designed to do everything at once, but who knows. Oh, what's this old school transistor we got? Oh, that one's busted off. No, my ceramic thing's broken. It is, I can't see, it's a 2N222 or something probably. Oh, whoops, I cut that a little bit short. Oh, not triple 2, quadruple 2, 2N222. They were a standard thing you could buy at Tandy and places like that, and that's probably some Dick Smith BC or something. No, it's a 2N3904. I think they used to use those in telephones or something. MJE 340 by the look of it. What's this 1N5347? Got an old school, it's got all corroded, really old valve style equipment resistor. That really doesn't want to come undone, and this is the problem. It's a lot of work to pull these things apart. I think the MJE 340 was a handy transistor. What's this? Is it a transistor or an IC regulator? Pins have all been bent up. And that's another one, I can't read these things anymore. Morocco. That's an IRF 640, so FET. It's a TLC 272, it doesn't sound that familiar. It's a TI 031 or something, that one. And we got what sort of Rimet capacitors. Sounds like something someone would tell you is good in high-end hi-fi or something. Possibly American caps by the look of them in those sort of cases. Bit nicer than the usual generic Taiwanese ones or something of the day. And these, I reckon it's just 2 power supplies that are exactly the same by the look of it. So I don't think we'll bother saving any of that. This is probably going to be more work than it's worth to strip down. But we want that heatsink at least. Galway resistor. I assume it's these 4 big screws. Again, they look like stainless steel, so they really built this in pretty well. Except every screw is different, I think, and that's a hex head bloody thing. Allen key type. Don't know if that IC is actually CMOS sensitive or not, but or static sensitive. I'll sit it on that metal thing for now, but I might as well pinch that. Oh, I've got to take one more. What else is holding it together? Is there anything else under there? It doesn't look like it. Or is it the transistors themselves? They drilled through, so they shouldn't be. Ah. What have they done? Oh, I see what they've done. These little mounts are tapped into it, I think. What have they done? I think they've gone through and actually tapped them into the heatsink, which is a pain. So they've put screws in and cut the heads off is what they've done. I wonder if any of this other stuff's the same. I hope not. I don't think that one's turning, is it? Can't tell. Here it is, I think. So if they've done these other mounts and stuff, I'm stuffed. There's still something down that end. It's not those things, is it? That's the only ones I can see drilled in, besides those other 2 transistors will have to go. This thing's quickly wasting more time than it's worth, I think. I guess there's a nice piece of Vero board there if you really wanted it, but cheaper to buy it new, I think. Oh, that one they actually put a screw in. That makes more sense. Loosen this thing off, I might as well keep it. Same with that one. That's an old gold plated leg type one by the look of it. I guess a proper genuine old Motorola or something. It's got one M there, looks like the Motorola symbol. Is it a JE 3-foot JE? Yeah, 340 I think was the other one, wasn't it? That looks like a more modern one. So I wonder if maybe this thing was built in 2 halves. JE 340, that's right. Let's take that out. I wonder if these are holding it. There's only 2 of them anyway, so they're not going right through these screws. So someone's done the old drill out the bits that you don't want connected. Go in the e-waste, I guess. Now, are these things screwed in? They must be, I guess. Well, it's definitely something holding on. They don't seem to be coming though. So that would suggest they got countersunk screws into the lid. So what is holding it? I can't see. It's something over this side. Oh, is it these things maybe? That could be it. And there's a few different standoff things. Get out of my way, Dyer. Stop trying to stab me. Yeah, that might be them. Yeah, they're quite long. Yeah, that's it for sure. Grotty old resistor. It's broken. It's the problem with these ceramic things, they break and then they got sharp bits everywhere. More like something you'd think would be in some bit of RF equipment or something, so it's probably what they're made for. Are we loose yet? No, still not bloody loose. Oh, that's a real pain, it's looser. There's something right about, it's not that busted off piece of brass there. Someone's put, what have they done? Someone's broke something off, I think. These dodgy uni students. Well, we fixed it now. Have we? Oh, there's still a wire attached. So that can go in the IDL. Yeah, the rest of it's all countersunk. I mean, they're almost worth keeping, but don't do it. And that heatsink I'll definitely keep, because that's a beast. That weighs a heap. EB and BE. And yeah, I must look those transistors up, but I think they were quite a good beefy transistor, those, like a quite a high power 10 amp or something. So I'll keep that. And that's that thing demolished. The next one we got, I don't know what the hell this is, pulse on and off, maxi sound. Timer on, timer start, that's been out in the weather for way too long. Output watts a centimetre. Pulse on, pulse off. Medical engineering. Oh, is it like, I wonder if it's an ultrasonic thing or something. Hobart, Tasmania. Oh well, so it's in like a, this is like a Dick Smith type box. These are quite an expensive box too, I think. Probably not as bad as that diecast thing, but these are quite a nice box. You could definitely buy them. I'm not sure if Dick Smith sold them, but those sort of places, definitely Farnell would have sold them like the other stuff. Now, can I even get this thing apart is going to be the next problem. We're going to have to resort to side cutters, I think, because the screw head's rusted out in the middle, and I just grab them with a pair of side cutters is often the easiest way. Probably doesn't do your side cutters the best, but if they're decent quality they tend to handle it. I'll throw them in the rubbish because those screws are just rust. And I don't think this case is all bent on the back by the look of it, so not worth salvaging. It's probably good for, I can't remember, no, actually I think they're steel mostly. The bottom bit's aluminium. That's just breaking that screw. Should I just bend this up? I think I might have to. Oh, we've got a circuit board on there, we've got a massive transformer. Interesting bit of old kit. We've got some sort of massive inductor, we've got a heatsink. That still turns just. Well, I can't imagine it's in poor condition, can't imagine it's really good for anything. Might be worth grabbing. What are they? How they mounted these? Oh, they've glued standoffs onto the lid, I think. Looks like quite a nicely built unit, whatever it was. Oh, I just bought some of these ultra long pliers from Bunnings, and this might be the second thing they've been useful for. I can't remember, but I already used them for something that they were just made for. I've been meaning to get some for years and finally remembered to grab some. And these are just made for this sort of work. Good for reaching things in hard to get places, and they just paid for themselves. Well, maybe if I can get this thing right off. Come on. Thread's a bit wonky, I think. We've probably got a couple of 2N3055s or something to go with those MJE 3055s. Oh, we do. No, we don't. What have we got? Motorola MJ413s. No idea what they are. Doesn't sound familiar, but that can go in the rubbish or the scrap pile. I don't think it's even worth trying to get the aluminium off that. Really not worth it for what it's worth. The transformer is a Dyne Type 1394. Never heard of Dyne or the... it's a TV brand called Tyne. So I don't think I've heard of Dyne though. But we might be able to look that up online, you never know, someone might have an old catalogue for it or something. And yeah, a couple of reefer caps there. Are they soldered onto terminals? Looks like someone's just put tape over it. Bit of masking tape or something. Probably a 240 volt side. Get rid of all this wiring out of the way. Oh, there's one fuse holder there. It's a bit of an old school inline type fuse holder. 240 volts, 1.5 amp. Might even be worth keeping. Guess we'll cut that off. Is that a soldering type one? That's a crimp-on type one. Used to be used in cars a lot and that sort of thing. I might save this transformer until I know what it is. Oh, that is too tight to undo. And there too, I think. Jeez. Well, that wasn't ever going to come loose. Good to see someone taking it seriously. I guess I should look up the specs on those transistors to see if they're worth saving. I could take them off just to save the aluminium, I guess, but I don't really care that much about it. It's been pretty rusty in there. Certainly got a lot of windings of fine wire there. And yeah, two little reefers that are both split, or they're mini prints. Is that still a reefer? Made in Australia. They certainly look identical. So maybe not a actual reefer capacitor. Basically the same thing though. There's that 240 volt input. Oh, so that was there, so that wasn't under the tape. I wonder why they tape that up. Dunno. What has someone done here? We've got completely different screws on each transistor, because that one's just mounted to the chassis, the other one's insulated. I always used to save these thin screws and bits and pieces because they were good if you ever wanted to mount one of these transistors in something you were building. And you got here the little plastic insulated bits there for the screws, and your mica washer. I think I'm going to have to unsolder that too. Yeah, no actual paste on it by the look of it. Those should pull out. They're always worth hanging on to. Oh, I've got a drawer full of them somewhere still, I think. It's even got E and B marked on it. That's nice to see for a change. Good on Motorola for doing that. Shame other people didn't do it. It's not exactly hard to print that on there. I think I do remember seeing a few old transistors with that. I don't think I'll keep that insulator. But yeah, it's nice when they actually mark things. 8339, does that mean it was made in 83? That's an 8352, so they could fit in with weak numbers, 52 being as high as you can go, and 39's a bit earlier, so they're around the same era they would have been made. Looking at that box's style and stuff, I'd say that would have been around the era that was built. And yeah, do I save anything off that board? I don't know. I kind of like the big Orna cap, just because it's so old now. I wonder if that was made to put a 555 timer in there in a different version. Don't know, I might just throw that on the scrap board pile for now. The next thing is whatever this is. Looks like another piece of medical Pharmacia Fine Chemicals. We've actually got a little pop-out stand. Whether it pops out anymore, so you can stand it up. That's quite a nice design, nice cabinet. Probably a big capacitor mounted there where that big screw is, I'm assuming. It's got an edge connector on the board, I can see. So what does it do? 12 volt, 24 and 36. So it's got a DC ammeter and one of those little edge meters. I haven't seen one of them in a long time. Well, besides this one, I guess, but I used to have some of those out of something. What did I ever get them out of? I can't remember. This is one of these quite nice knobs. You should be able to pop the front off it. And yeah, just undo the screw and it has a, I forget what you call it, but a little bit that tightens up. That's a square. That's a little mini section. That's a weird one. Well, that's pretty useless, unfortunately. I thought I might have myself a half decent useful knob there. Oh, it's a 3-way toggle switch, little lamp, all neon, a dead cockroach on it, lovely. What does it say? For power connection AC DC to GD4, that's that socket on the back, and 220 volts, so it's definitely European, made in Sweden, from the land of the Volvo. This feels like a fully aluminium case. Does it just pop off? Well, it's Swedish, so who knows? Oh, it actually comes with the whole front panel. What the? Yeah, you can tell it's European when they've done something weird like that, so maybe when do the other screws and the sides come off. Why can't they just do things the normal way? Be too easy, I guess. What a strange... Oh, I see. The front panel is actually a separate bit. I was thinking it was folded right around, but there you go. I guess it means that the top is a bit nicer if the front and the top are all one piece. There's no gap there and no fluids or anything can get into it, so maybe that's why it's like that. Again, this looks like a kind of 80s type era piece of equipment. And now we've got the hood up. Oh, what is this thing on the front? It looks like a thermostat or something out of an oven. Well, yeah, with a square thing on it, it probably is that. Oh, it's a timer. Oh, okay, it's a mechanical timer. Well, now that I've unloosened that, it won't grip it, I don't think. Oh, there we go. Now I'm going to have to throw that away so I don't have to listen to it. So you can set how long this thing runs for. Yeah, that's going to be annoying. What does it say? It's a 90-minute timer, it says on the back. Can I wind it back? I don't like winding these things back because it tends to be bad for them. Can you hear it going faster? Oh yeah, look at that edge meter, that's pretty cool. Great big long pointer in there. Oh, we've got another 2N3055. That's another one I can add to my collection of, looks like a different brand again. I think I've got about 20 of the things in it. They're almost all different brands. Got an ITT relay. They're involved in telephones and stuff. Okay, that's it. We're going to have to kill that. Might save that toggle switch as well. Let's get that out of here. Not a fan of ticking clocks. Yeah, very nice heatsink. Can still hear it in the background, bloody thing. I guess I might as well remove power cord. Old plug on it. Almost usable still if you cleaned it up. Yeah, there is a capacitor I thought would be on that nut underneath. Definitely look like one of those, much like the ones they use in lighting and stuff, rather than in electronics. Sort of thing you'd find in a fluorescent light fitting or mercury vapor lamp or something. It's actually got a nice little sort of insulator thing there, or not sure what the point of that is really. Maybe it is to insulate it. So Siemens, Germany, 2200 mic, 63 volt. So what's this? How do they mount that? You got to take the lid off the meter to get it off the board by the look of it, and you're going to remove the meter to get the board out of the case. That'd be right. That's a pretty dodgy design, but Europeans aren't known for making things easy to work on. Unless I'm missing something. Oh, can you get through the gap underneath? I don't think you can. And of course these have got nuts on them. Just a, is it a nut? Yeah, oh, it's like a captive nut on a big shaft. Nice. That's why no one likes working on European stuff. One's going to stay in there, I think. Oh, the whole top bit comes off. Okay. And their hex head things. Where's that? There is a nut driver line around here from the other day. Or was. It's already moved to the other bench, of course. It's still too big. You want more like a 4 or something, I think. Yeah, too small. Too big. So it must be a 4.5. There we go. Well, at least it's metric. That's one thing I do like about Europeans. I'm going to have to wind it back on to remove it. No. Thought it was still on there. Well, we've got to take this off eventually anyway, but look at, of course, it's going to mess with what the... So it must have come with standoffs attached to the meter originally, but we're pulling on the wiring and stuff, which is not good. Is that going to lift off? Surely it's in. Here it comes. God almighty. They know how to make life fun, that's for sure. And that little plastic bit, I think, went under the thing. Not that I really care that much, but... Well, it's like made in Japan. This is a Japanese edge meter. Lovely sort of movement there. On that great big long... So it's DC amps, that must be our shunt. Yeah, it goes from one terminal across to another terminal. Why does it go via a wire? I'm not sure. But yeah, quite a nice little movement there. Put that to one side for now, because I think I need those mounts. Oh, I see there's little sub mount things on here. Maybe that's what the Japanese supplied with it. Oh yeah, they would have been made to have screws in them or something. That makes more sense. So now I've got the pain in the butt of now it's joined back together, of putting all this back together before we lose all the millions of little parts. And I guess I better tighten that up. Oh, there's the nut driver, would be handy. Because you don't want a high resistance contact there if you're measuring up to, well, it's only 3 amps, but still. I think that little white washer went under there. So if it likes to jump off. Oh, I've lost the washer, have I? Oh, something hot dropped in here. Oh, there's a nut. And another washer. Don't know. And we can put that all back together. Yeah, I never really liked the look of edge meters, but they're always kind of just a cool, because you never saw them very often, they were kind of a cool idea, at least not in a big version like these. But I did have some out of something that I just cannot for the life of me remember what it was. Some rando bit of electronics I pulled apart as a kid. Yeah, certainly a nice little unit, but pretty useless really. It's not going to be the right size for that, I guess. It's actually going to fall out the other side, it is. So it's got countersunk screws, or not even countersunk, I don't think. Doesn't need to undo that one anyway. Oh, it's just a standoff, so I've got an edge connector. Is that one of those old school? God, I haven't seen one of those bridge rectifiers, these old, I think they used in some of these horrible old televisions and stuff here, and these orange capacitors. This is like the old Fawn 4000 chassis or something. Yeah, they were kind of designed, good idea, they come up with all these German or whatever capacitors. They're all made to be standard sized, and there's a little square green caps and everything, made for circuit board mounting. And that's a 723 IC by the look of it. Oh, that says 2723 SEC. What is that symbol? It's got like a little, it's got rabbit ear antennas on it, whatever it is. Did I see that? That's the same symbol that's on this thing. Is that a Swedish manufacturer or something? I don't know what you'd call that symbol. It's kind of almost like a letter C, but 7301. So I wonder if that was a 73 made. What's this chip say on it? Anything? 7341. So yeah, this is much older than I thought. So this would be 4K television era. Thorn 4000. I'm sure they had those weird bridge rectifiers. European type. Oh, it's got something on the board here in handwritten. PHFC, is it? DPS 91195999198K. Looks like some actual gold plating there. That's not always gold, that stuff could be something else. And these ITT relays. Where's the bit that moves? Must be underneath. 12 volt DC. Just a single contact by the look of it, and coil. Oh no, there's another terminal there, is there? So 5 connections. So it probably is a double throw. That's another little bridge rectifier. I didn't even notice that one. Not sure what that says on that. Siemens something, I think. But it's not Siemens, I don't think. Oh, well, that's an interesting old board, but pretty much useless. That almost would have fit the back of your Commodore 64 computer, that little short one. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 15, so like a 30 pinner. Oh, there's that little washer that went missing out of the meter. Oh well, too bad. And which of the primary side? That's your active. I'm not sure. I doubt this transformer, well, it could be worth keeping, I guess, but probably not. The purple wire there is your neutral, that probably went via a switch. Earth wire, fuse holder. Yeah, nothing much exciting on that connector. I don't know if that's even worth saving. And let's get our heatsink out of here. That's got a weird, oh, is that a socket? Huh. That's a socket for a transistor. Very rare to see them on a TA3. That's almost unique. I get a feeling I have seen them before, but yeah, very super rare that. Quite a cool idea, really. But this thing could do up to what, 36 volts and up to possibly 3 amps. So the transformer could be worth hanging on to in a way. That must be our secondaries because they're all big thick wires. And we've got 3 different primaries hooked up by the look of it. Oh wait, that just goes across this other one. I don't think there's a wire. So why they've just got a link wire there so that we can tell, and they're the joins, so it's probably 210 volt windings. Stuff splattered all over it, but it doesn't say anything else. And one case, whoops, there goes the nuts off that. Which, yeah, probably is only good for irony alley. Is that, I think that's plastic. Is that what that is? It's Perspex, I think. Yeah, that's plastic sides. Well, that's different. Yeah, I think that might just go in the irony alley rather than try and mess around with that. And we've got one more, which is, I think, another piece of university equipment. That's a cool old, I think that was a Tandy Radio Shack type light. Electrodes off and on, ABC millivolts. It's quite a cool old meter, one of those odd shaped ones like they used to do. Peak, I think that was a brand. Pos 3, set C to 0, set B to 500, set A. See, I must be able to set these. X check. Oh, they crossed out check. I wonder if that was one of those Tandies. They had some cool looking old panel lamps, so I thought they were cool when I was like 10 years old or whatever. What on earth's in there? Is that a National D cell? Huh. It sure looks like a National battery to me, but well, that probably will have leaked its guts everywhere if it is. It's in some sort of, oh, it's like in a film canister. Maybe not a film canister, it could be something like that, like a screw top plastic container. So at least if it has leaked its guts, hopefully it's contained in that. But it's quite a cool little instrument box, this one, so I don't know if I should really trash this thing or keep it or what. It's got obviously a hole for a fan or just for ventilation, I guess. This is more like a 50s or 60s kind of box. Oh well, there's a valve in there. 6SN7. Whatever that is. It's got some stuff. I don't know if that battery's might have rusted a little bit. What on earth is some sort of plastic container? Oh, they've actually soldered to it. No wonder they put it in a container if it can't just be. It's a Matsushita. Made in Japan. Wow, it's actually in pretty good nick, I think, besides whatever that dust is it's sitting in. I wonder if that was some sort of foam. I think it's a deteriorated bit of foam it was sitting on. Wow. Well, I might remove that because there's no point leaving it in there, but that is, yeah, besides that muck, a little bit of corrosion on the bottom. Must so that just brushes off. Wow, I haven't seen one of those since probably the 70s. That's a UM1. Or size D, made in Japan. Wow, that is old. You don't see them every day. It's kind of cool, and it's in amazing condition. It's just that foamy stuff stuck to the bottom. Look, you can actually scrape it off. You tell me there's not even any actual proper corrosion there. That's amazing. I don't think you could do that with more modern batteries. Now maybe it was in the right conditions where it sort of dried out. Shame they sold it to it, or it would have been in mint condition. Would have been like brand new. Oops. And I'm getting solder on it. That's amazing. Oh well, I'll stick that in my battery collection, I think. I might remove this mains cord because I don't think I'm going to be hooking that up. I got an old school Clipsal plug there. That can be recycled possibly and used again. So does this chassis, how does this chassis come out? It must slide out or something, surely. Or maybe take the front off. Must do. Yeah, cool old sloping instrument case. I mean, we've got pretty much old school Bakelite knobs, but I think you could still buy those horrible ones. I never liked those. In the 80s, I think Dick Smith may have still been selling those things. Oh, I thought they looked very ancient and just pretty horrible, really. But this box is probably too good to get rid of. It's only steel anyway, so it's no good for scrap metal. It would be kind of a cool box to build something into. I don't think I ever saw these ones for sale, but I'm sure you could get them from somewhere like Farnell again. A more specialised electronics part supply would have had these things. I think Dick Smith and Tandy that had some flat irons. That's quite a nice little design, nice handle on it. Yeah, there's definitely something it looks like here that remains of foam in there. I might even put the lid on that so I don't have to deal with that coming out. What is this container? I don't know, it could have been anything. Looks kind of familiar, but I don't know what came in those. I've got an A&R transformer, so Australian made one by the look of it. Pretty old too. Great big hole there, like the Valvera pots. They're probably Australian made as well. IRCs or something. Yeah, it's IRC, I think, made potentially. I want to look at this old stuff. It's an Elna. Yeah, IRC Australia. SMEG. I've just been watching Red Dwarf, but it's actually 5 meg, I think that says. Oh, it's Australian too. So what was this thing? On-off electrodes. Yeah, I like that panel meter. I wonder what it actually runs. Well, that's actually a 4-way. No, it's just 2. That's a pretty. I wonder if that's made in Germany. That switch. That's a bit of an odd switch. I don't remember seeing 2 side-by-side contacts like that before. And yeah, this random valve. He made it. That's a mini one, I think. It's going to suddenly get, I hate these valve sockets, they suddenly let go and the thing goes flying out of your hand or smashes into the front panel or something. Mini watt made in Australia, 247, I wonder if that means anything. 6SN7 GTA. It's a bit of an odd looking valve, really. I'm not sure what that thing is. It's got 2 flat panel things. Is it an actual valve? Oh yes, I can see the heater there, so they're 2 little flat package things. How does that work though? Does it have a normal grid and whatever? No idea what that is, but it's 2 somethings in there. It's not a rectifier, is it? I wonder if it is. Yeah, it probably is a rectifier. That's probably what it is. Because what else do we have here to rectify? You've got earth coming in. Mains, of course, that goes up to the transformer. Transformer comes back to those 2 resistors, I think. Oh no, here it is. That's our transformer. Yeah, it goes straight into it. I shouldn't have cut the mains cord off. We could have plugged it in and see if it still lit the valve up, I guess. But yes, that's a dual diode, I'm guessing, because there's these yellow wires or yellow tubings covering up our incoming transformer secondary wiring. So that's just the copper wire straight out of the transformer. I think someone's used a bit of it. Yeah, someone's used it to hook across here. But that's the enamelled wire. It used to just come straight out of the transformers. You put a bit of tubing over it, burnt the stuff off, scraped it off the end, and just soldered to whatever, so they didn't have terminals on them. Looks like a 1N400. Well, does it say 1N AD? Oh, that's an AD 4005 or something. But I assume they're just, so we do have two actual diodes that go to that switch. But it looks like the main rectifier, probably any high power diode back then, might have had to have been a valve still by the look of it. I just want to see what brand. Is that another IRC? Yeah, IRC Australia. So possibly around the early 70s or late 60s. I mean, it's got a plastic lamp there. But I mean, they're still using a valve as a rectifier, so it must be, unless they just happen to have one lying around, must be pretty old. Some of these fuses can be worth a check. You sometimes find one with a little label on it, golden printed on label or something. Can't really have to do unscrew this forever. No, it's just a boring one. Is that a Billinglee? It is a Billinglee fuse. 1 amp or something. So yeah, I wonder what voltage this, does that run off the 240 volts? I think that's a neon indicator by the look of it. Yeah, it goes to the switch. That goes off to the transformer, I think. That's the active of the mains cord. So I assume the other side, that's the neutral of the mains cord. Well, there you go. It's a completely useless piece of old stuff. I might salvage that resistor out of it actually, because I like that. I might have to start keeping a few of these old Australian made ones. And who knows, these might be Australian made. Is that another IRC? I think it is. I think that's what's printed there, or was. Maybe not. Yeah, no, it is. I think it's got the little ohm symbol. 10%. And I might nick that neon too. I'll have to look up, see if that was a Tandy one. It's a green neon too, so that's a, oops, I think I just broke it. Damn it. Bugger. Very rare to see a green neon. Yeah, the case just sort of snapped. It looks a bit melted too. Yeah, should have known that might have happened. It can probably be glued back together, but yeah, it looks kind of melted to me. Is it a green neon in there? Because they were... Is it even a neon at all? What is that thing? Now that I've partly broken it, I might as well finish breaking it. What the hell is that? That doesn't look like your normal neon. It's got two elements there, and it's quite cooked. Two things with a gap, so I assume it's some sort of... I might have to hook that up and see what it does. But that's not your normal, well, they made it, I guess maybe they had to make a flat fronted, so maybe they went to the trouble to make a flat fronted neon so it can butt up to the plastic front on this thing and actually look good. Let's see if it does anything. Problem with green neons is they didn't usually have a very long life. That's an orange neon in a green case. Well, that's the lamest thing ever. Huh. Well, that's a bit of a rip-off. So it's really a kind of yellowy neon. Well, I must say I'm disappointed with them for that. It's just a very dim, like an incandescent light globe in there, but with yeah, it's very dim. I wonder if it's got a dropping resistor. Well, it was across the main, so I assume the one's built in, but it's probably done a lot of hours and not looking the best. But yeah, those two elements are glowing rather well, so that's kind of the lamest thing ever. Well, I'm not so worried about breaking it now. It kind of looks the part though in its old school. The little square bits in there as a sort of diffuser thing, or even as a lens type thing. Oh, well, I guess the only other really useful part in this thing is the meter. And you've got a couple of very old school pots. Oh, someone's done the old Tipex job. It's probably actually paint, but they've actually covered up the original scale there, and the millivolts you can see has also been painted over whatever it said, so it's probably amps DC or something. KR65, catalogue Z1005. Don't know whether I should pull that off and stash it somewhere or just leave it on here for now, but yeah, that's quite a cool old thing. But I think this can go into storage, probably never to see the light of day again unfortunately, but no markings on that A&R transformer. Oh, what's it say there? 1951. It's got 1951 on the end, so it could have been that old, I guess. But the fact it's got silicon diodes in here and a D cell means it's a bit later than that. But maybe it's an old transformer they had. Certainly a bit of an odd idea using a valve in it. I think I'll put all the screws back in it and just stick it on a shelf right at the back and the bottom, and I'll probably forget I ever had it. Can't really think what I could use it for. It's a bit of a shame really, because it's quite a nice box. Would have been perfect for a sort of homemade bit of test gear. I mean, you could build like a battery charger or something. I guess it would make it kind of cool if you could turn that back into an ammeter. Because yeah, you wouldn't. I doubt they made a millivolt meter up to 500 milliamp volts. Wouldn't have been an off-the-shelf thing, so they've obviously modified that to do their particular job. I know I have a couple of other great big boxes here somewhere with big meters and some sort of power supplies in them that really probably need the same treatment, anything useful taking out of them. And the case is probably only good for scrap, I think. And the damn timer's still running. Oh, this has got the little... Do we need to take that off? Possibly not. But it's got the little round ring type. I'm not sure how you really get them off without marking the damn things. Has it got flats on it? It does just have flat either side, because that's quite tight. So it's probably a C&K. It's a C&K 7023 switch. It's probably been out in the weather and not real good, but not that often you get a center off type switch, so I can't help saving that. And the timer, is it really any good for anything? Well, it does up to 90 minutes, so I guess we just want a 90-minute mechanical timer. Sort of thing you would have found on an oven or something. I thought the old ovens used to have timers on them you could pinch. It's a Diehl, Germany. Yeah, forget those. In the old days you used to think about things like that. If you saw an old oven or something, it's like, oh, What can I pinch off it that's worth saving? And a lot of them did have a timer, I think. Well, some of them did. Yeah, the good old days, eh? But I guess the good news about it is it's got its own audible indicator that's running. And the bad news is it also makes an audible ticking sound if you don't like it. I never would have thought of sticking a round knob on a square shaft, but I think that's what they've done basically. It doesn't want to go back on. So there must have been a knack to get it on there. Or is it those? It's not the screws getting in the way. There it goes. Jeez, it's not real happy about it. There it is. Oh, you just got to push that bit down maybe. Okay, what have we got? A neon maybe? No, I'm not going to save a panel lamp, as tempting as it is. Though, I guess we could get rid of that and save it, clean the aluminium off, but is it really worth the bother? Ugh, it's got one of those horrible metal... Oh, it shut up, yeah. Horrible pressed tin nut things on it. That just bend as you try to get them undone. Dodgy Swedes. Fancy making a nice bit of aluminium or whatever that is, could be brass even, and then put one of those crappy nuts on it. Terminals off. Well, I'm glad I got rid of these things. And we got a clean piece of alley for the scrapper. And they can go in the rubbish, I think. That sorts that out for now, so I'll see if I can dig out this other great big power supply I know is lying around. There might even be a couple of different things. So thanks for watching.